My name is Jake Morrison. I'm 31 years old. And 6 years ago, I disappeared into the Arizona wilderness for 3 years. When they found me, I weighed 85 pounds. I could barely speak. My fingernails were overgrown and curled. My hair was matted down my back. I looked like something that had crawled out of a grave. The doctors said I should have been dead. The police said my story was impossible. Most people said I was insane. But I know what happened to me. Every single day of those 3 years, every moment of captivity, every second of suffering. This is the story of how I was taken, what kept me, and what finally let me go. November 2018. I was 25 years old, working as a wilderness guide in Flagstaff, Arizona. I'd been doing it for 3 years. Loved the job, loved the solitude, loved being in the mountains. I was single, no serious relationships. My family was my younger sister Emma, she was 22 then, and my parents who lived in Phoenix. We were close, talked every week. They were proud of what I was doing, even if they worried about me being alone in the wilderness so often. I was good at my job, experienced, careful. I knew the land, knew the dangers, respected them. November 12th, 2018. I planned a solo backpacking trip, 5 days in a remote area near the Mogollon Rim. I'd been there before. Beautiful country, rugged, isolated, exactly what I wanted. I filed a trip plan with the ranger station, standard procedure. Listed my route, my campsites, my expected return date. If I didn't check in by November 17th, they'd start looking. The first 2 days were perfect. Cool weather, clear skies. I hiked maybe 15 miles, set up camp each night, cooked over my portable stove, slept under the stars. I saw wildlife, elk, mule deer, a black bear in the distance moving away from me. Normal stuff. Day 3, November 14th. I hiked into a canyon I'd never explored before. Remote, no trails, dense forest, the kind of place most people never see. I set up camp around 5 p.m. It gets dark early in November. By 6 p.m. the sun was setting. By 6:30 it was full dark. I had my fire going. Was cooking dinner. Rice and dehydrated chicken. Not gourmet, but enough. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Heavy. Moving through the brush maybe 50 yards from my camp. I stopped eating, listened. The footsteps circled. Slow. Deliberate, not panicked animal movement. Something approaching carefully. "Hey," I called out. "Bear, get out of here." The footsteps stopped. Silence for maybe 30 seconds. Then they started again. Closer. I grabbed my bear spray, stood up. I said, "Get out of here, go." Nothing. Just silence. But I could feel something watching. That primal instinct. You know when you're being observed. I added more wood to my fire, made it bigger, brighter. Animals avoid fire. That's basic survival knowledge. But whatever was out there didn't leave. For the next 2 hours, I heard periodic sounds, branches breaking, movement, always staying just beyond the firelight. By 9 p.m., I was inside my tent, bear spray in one hand, knife in the other, trying to convince myself it was just an elk, just a curious animal that would get bored and leave. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every sound made me jump. Every rustle of wind through the trees sounded like something approaching. Around 2 a.m., I finally started to relax. Maybe it was gone. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe. The tent ripped open, tore right down the middle like it was made of tissue paper. A hand grabbed me, not a paw. A hand. With fingers. Massive, strong enough to close around my entire torso. I screamed, fought, sprayed the bear spray blindly, hit nothing. The hand yanked me out of the tent, lifted me into the air like I weighed nothing. I got one clear look in the moonlight. The thing holding me was huge, 9 feet tall, maybe more, covered in reddish-brown fur, face that was almost human but not quite. Too flat, too wide, eyes that caught the light like an animal's. Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the thing that shouldn't exist. Holding me, I punched it, kicked, got my knife out and stabbed at its arm. The blade hit something hard, muscle or bone, and snapped, just broke. The creature didn't even flinch, just made a sound, deep, resonant, almost like speech, vocalization with structure to it. Then it hit me, not hard enough to kill, but hard enough. Its other hand came across my head. My vision exploded into stars, pain, then darkness. I woke up in a cave, complete darkness, my head pounding, my hands bound behind my back with something that felt like rope, but not rope, plant fibers, vines, something woven together. I couldn't see anything, couldn't hear anything except my own breathing and heartbeat. I tried to move, the bindings held. I tried to yell, my voice echoed in the space. Wherever I was, it was enclosed, large enough to echo but not open. Help! Someone help me! I'm here! Help! Nothing. Just my own voice bouncing back. I don't know how long I was in that darkness. Hours, maybe. Long enough for the panic to cycle through. Terror, to anger, to despair, to numbness. Then I heard it. Movement. Something entering the space. A boulder being moved. That's what it sounded like. Stone scraping against stone. Then footsteps. Heavy, coming closer. I pressed myself against the cave wall. Stay back. Stay the fuck back. A sound. That same vocalization from before. Structured, purposeful, then light. A small fire being lit near the cave entrance. Just enough to see by. The creature was there. Kneeling. Looking at me. Its face in the firelight was terrifying. Not because it was monstrous, but because it was so close to human. The intelligence in its eyes. The way it tilted its head, like it was studying me. It made more sounds, then gestures, pointing at me, then at the cave entrance, then back at me. I didn't understand, didn't know what it wanted. It reached toward me. I flinched, but it just touched the bindings on my wrists, checked them, made sure they were secure. Then it made that sound again. Different tone. I'd learn later what it meant. Stay, don't leave. Then it stood up, walked to the cave entrance, and blocked it with a massive boulder, easily 300 pounds. It moved it into place like it weighed nothing. I was trapped, in complete darkness again, alone. That's when I started to understand. This wasn't random. This wasn't an attack. This was deliberate, planned. This thing had taken me for a reason, and it was keeping me. I was a prisoner, and I had no idea why. The first week was the worst. Not just physically, though that was bad. The cave was cold, damp. The bindings cut into my wrists. I had no food, no water. I was sure I was going to die. But the creature came back. Twice a day, roughly. Morning and evening, I guessed, though I had no way to track time. It would move the boulder, enter with food and water. Crude containers, hollow logs, woven plant materials, filled with water from somewhere, and food, roots, nuts, sometimes raw meat, rabbit, I think, or squirrel. It would set the food down, watch me, make sounds, then leave, block the entrance again. The first few days, I refused to eat, thought it might be poisoned, thought maybe I was being fattened up for something worse. By day 4, I was too hungry to care. I ate. The food was edible, not good, but enough to keep me alive. The creature never hurt me, never touched me except to check my bindings, never threatened, just kept me there and watched me. I started to realize what was happening. This thing was curious. It was studying me, observing how I reacted, what I ate, how I behaved. I was a specimen, an experiment, a captive animal in a zoo where the creature was the only visitor. What do you want? I'd ask, scream sometimes. Why did you take me? What the fuck do you want from me? It would just tilt its head, make those sounds. I couldn't understand. couldn't communicate, couldn't do anything but exist in that cave, day after day, week after week. I tried to escape once. When it brought food, I waited until it set things down. Then I rushed it, tried to get past, get to the entrance before it could block it. I made it maybe 5 feet. It caught me with one hand, lifted me off the ground, and for the first time, I saw it angry. Really angry. It roared. The sound filled the cave. So loud my ears rang. Then it threw me. Not hard enough to break bones, but hard enough to hurt. I hit the cave wall, fell to the ground, gasping. The creature stood over me, making aggressive sounds, picking up rocks and hurling them against the cave walls. A display, a warning. Don't try to leave. I got the message. I didn't try again. Time became meaningless. I tracked days by the creature's visits. 2 visits per day meant 1 day. I made marks on the cave wall with a stone. Tiny scratches, counting. After 30 marks, 15 days, I stopped. What was the point? No one was coming. No one would find me. The search would have been called off by now. I'd been declared dead. My family was mourning me. And I was here, in a cave, with a creature that shouldn't exist, being kept like a pet, like property. I started talking to myself. Conversations with imagined Emma, with my parents, with friends, anything to keep my mind from fracturing completely. Just survive, I'd tell myself. 1 more day. Just survive 1 more day. But I didn't know how many more days there would be, or if there was any end to this at all. I'm not sure exactly when it happened. Maybe week 6, maybe week 8. Time was impossible to track. But at some point I stopped fighting and started just existing. The routine was the same every day. The creature would move the boulder, enter with food and water, watch me for a while, sometimes make sounds, then leave, block the entrance. My body was deteriorating. I could feel it. My muscles were atrophying. I was losing weight rapidly. The diet was barely enough to survive. Roots, nuts, occasional meat, water. No vitamins, no variety, just subsistence. My teeth started to hurt, gums bleeding. I'd later learn this was scurvy, vitamin C deficiency. My fingernails became brittle. Hair started falling out in clumps. But worse than the physical decline was the mental. The isolation, the darkness, the complete absence of human contact. I talked to myself constantly, had full conversations, created elaborate fantasies about rescue, about escape, about revenge. Sometimes I'd scream until my voice gave out, just to hear something, just to feel like I still existed. The creature would watch these breakdowns with what I can only describe as curiosity, tilting its head, making soft sounds, never intervening, just observing. Then, around what I estimated was month 2, something changed. I woke up one morning, or what I thought was morning. I'd started to sense the patterns, to sounds, not the creature, something else, whimpering, human whimpering. I sat up. Hello, is someone there? More whimpering, then coughing, weak, pained. The boulder moved, the creature entered, and it was carrying something, someone, another person, male, middle-aged, unconscious, emaciated. The creature laid him down gently, maybe 10 feet from me, then left, blocked the entrance. I crawled over to him. Hey, can you hear me? He didn't respond, just lay there breathing shallowly. I didn't have water, didn't have anything to help him with, so I just sat there, watching this stranger, wondering what the hell was happening. He woke up maybe an hour later, opened his eyes, looked at me, started screaming. It's okay, I'm human, I'm a prisoner too, you're okay. He stopped screaming, stared at me. Where am I? A cave. Somewhere in Arizona, I think. That thing, The creature. It took you. Like it took me. How long have you been captured? I don't know. Months. So many months. His voice was weak, raspy. I was hiking. It grabbed me, kept me in a different place, then moved me here. I don't know why. What's your name? David Chen. I'm from Phoenix. I was hiking near Payson last August. What month is it now? I had no idea. I don't know. I've been here maybe 2 months. I was taken in November. So, January? Maybe? David started crying. 8 months. I've been gone 8 months. My family thinks I'm dead. My wife, my kids, they think I'm dead. I know, mine too. I'm Jake Morrison. We sat in silence for a while. Then David spoke again. There are others. I've seen them. Not here. But when it moved me between places, I saw caves, heard sounds, voices. I think it's been doing this for a long time. The thought made me sick. How many? I don't know. But I heard 3 different voices, maybe more. It takes people, keeps them, studies them. I don't know why. I don't know what it wants. Over the next few days, David told me everything he'd learned. He'd been kept in a different cave system, alone for months. The creature had visited him the same way it visited me. Food, water, observation. But David was in bad shape, worse than me. He had infections, open sores that wouldn't heal. His teeth were loose. He could barely eat. I'm dying, he told me on day 3. I can feel it. My body's shutting down. Don't say that. You have to fight. You have to survive. For what? So I can spend more years in this cave? Jake, there's no rescue coming. We're going to die here. I didn't want to believe him, but part of me knew he was right. David died on day 5 after being moved to my cave. Just didn't wake up one morning. His body finally gave out. I sat there with him for 2 days. The creature didn't come, didn't remove the body. I was trapped in a cave with a corpse, in the darkness, with the smell. When the creature finally came, I was nearly catatonic. It saw David's body, made sounds, different ones, almost like sadness, regret. It picked up David gently, carried him out, and I never saw the body again. After that, something changed in me. The last bit of hope died with David. I stopped talking to myself, stopped making marks to track days, stopped caring about anything except the next meal, the next drink of water. I became an animal, focused only on survival. Nothing else mattered. Months passed. I have no idea how many. My body continued to deteriorate. My mind became a fog. I'd have periods of lucidity where I'd remember who I was. Then long stretches where I was just nothing. Existing. Breathing. Eating. Sleeping. The creature continued its routine. But I noticed it was watching me differently, more carefully, like it was concerned. It started bringing better food, more meat, softer roots, things easier to eat. It brought animal hides to keep me warm. Would stay longer during visits, sometimes just sitting there, watching me. I think it realized I was dying, and for some reason, it didn't want that. Around what I later learned was month 9 or 10, something shifted. The creature started trying to communicate more actively. It would make sounds and wait for me to respond. When I didn't, it would repeat them, louder, more insistent. One day, out of exhaustion or desperation or insanity, I made a sound back, tried to copy its vocalization. The creature reacted immediately. Excited sounds. It repeated the vocalization. I repeated it back. It made approving sounds. We'd made contact after months of silence, after David's death, after my complete breakdown. We'd finally communicated. Over the next weeks, maybe months, this became routine. The creature would teach me sounds. I'd learn them. It would respond with what I interpreted as positive reinforcement. I learned maybe 20 or 30 different vocalizations. They had meanings: food, water, stay, come, danger, yes, no, basic concepts, and the creature learned some English, simple words. Jake, eat, drink, cold, hot. We weren't having conversations, but we were communicating, and somehow that kept me from losing my mind completely. I started to understand it better, not its motivations, but its nature. It was intelligent, very intelligent. It understood cause and effect. It learned, it remembered, and it was alone. I'd never seen another one, never heard evidence of others. This creature was solitary. Whether by choice or circumstance, I didn't know. I asked once, using the vocalizations I'd learned, "Why? Why take me?" Its response was complex. Multiple sounds, gestures. I couldn't fully translate, but I got the essence. Curiosity, study, understanding. It wanted to learn about humans, and I was its subject. "There are others," I said, meaning humans, meaning people who could teach it without kidnapping. "You don't have to do this." It made sounds I interpreted as alone, can't go to them. They would hurt me, afraid. It was afraid of humans, so it took them, studied them in captivity, where it felt safe. The logic was twisted, evil, really, but I understood it. And understanding didn't make me hate it less, but it made the captivity feel less random, less meaningless. I was serving a purpose, a horrible, unwanted purpose, but a purpose nonetheless. A year passed, then another. I stopped tracking time completely, stopped caring about rescue or escape or anything beyond the cave. This was my life now. I'd accepted it. I would die here eventually, like David. My body would give out, and the creature would carry me away, and that would be the end. By what I later learned was year 3, I was at my lowest point, barely moving, lying in the cave most of the time, eating just enough to survive, waiting to die. The creature visited less frequently. I think it was losing interest. The experiment was over. I had nothing left to teach it. I was a failed specimen, and soon I'd be disposed of. Then, in what I'd later learn was May 2021, everything changed. The creature entered the cave one morning agitated, making urgent sounds. Gestures I'd learned meant danger and leave and hurry. I barely had the strength to move. What? What's wrong? It kept making the sounds, then did something it had never done before. It didn't block the entrance with the boulder, left it open, made sounds. Go, now, leave. I didn't understand. You're letting me go? More urgent sounds. Then it grabbed me, gently but firmly, picked me up, and carried me out of the cave. For the first time in nearly 3 years, I saw daylight. Real daylight. It hurt. I closed my eyes. Couldn't process it. The creature carried me for hours, moving fast through the forest. I was too weak to fight, too confused to understand. Finally, it stopped. Set me down near what looked like a dirt road. Made one final sound. The one I'd learned meant goodbye or safe journey. Then it was gone. Disappeared into the forest. I lay there on the side of the road, barely conscious, barely alive. Free for the first time in 3 years, but too broken to appreciate it. I don't remember much about the hours after the creature left me. I was in and out of consciousness, lying on that dirt road, sun burning my skin that hadn't seen daylight in years. I remember thinking, this is where I die. Free, but too late. My body won't make it. This is the end. Then voices, people shouting, hands touching me. Oh my God, is that a person? Call 911. I tried to open my eyes, couldn't, tried to speak. Nothing came out but a croak. Sir? Sir, can you hear me? We're getting help. Just hold on. I was airlifted to Flagstaff Medical Center. Found out later that a couple from California had been driving that forest road. Tourists taking photos. They saw what they thought was a dead animal on the roadside. Got closer and realized it was human. Barely human. That's how they described me later to the press. The first week in the hospital was a blur. I was in critical condition. Severe malnutrition. My body was consuming itself. Dehydration. Multiple infections. Organ damage. The doctor said my body had been in starvation mode for so long that refeeding was dangerous. They had to introduce nutrients slowly, carefully. Too much too fast could kill me. I weighed 85 pounds. I'd been 180 when I was taken. I'd lost more than half my body weight. They couldn't identify me at first. No ID. My fingerprints were damaged from malnutrition. My face was so sunken, so changed, that facial recognition didn't work. It took 4 days for them to figure out who I was. A fingerprint technician found a partial match. Jake Morrison. Declared dead 31 months earlier. The police contacted my family, my sister Emma. I'd later learn what that phone call did to her. She'd spent 2.5 years believing I was dead. Had buried me. Symbolically, no body. Had mourned. Had moved on as much as anyone can. And then, "Ms. Morrison, your brother has been found. He's alive. He's at Flagstaff Medical Center." She drove 6 hours, ran into my hospital room, and barely recognized me. I was conscious by then. Barely. Looked at her, saw her face, tried to say her name. Emma? She burst into tears. Grabbed my hand, so carefully, I was so fragile. "Jake, oh my God, Jake, what happened to you? Where were you? We thought you were dead." I tried to answer. Couldn't find words. Everything was jumbled. English mixed with those vocalizations I'd learned. My brain couldn't separate them anymore. "It's okay," she said. "Don't talk. Just rest. You're safe now. You're safe." But I wasn't safe. Wouldn't be safe. Part of me was still in that cave. Would always be in that cave. They kept me hospitalized for 5 weeks. Intensive treatment, weight gain protocols, antibiotics for infections, physical therapy to rebuild muscle that had atrophied. But the physical recovery was nothing compared to the mental. I had severe PTSD, couldn't handle enclosed spaces, would panic in my hospital room if the door was closed, couldn't handle crowds. The cafeteria noise made me break down sobbing. At night, I'd have flashbacks, wake up screaming, thinking I was back in the cave, back in the darkness and the vocalizations. I'd slip into them without realizing. Those sounds the creature taught me. My brain had rewired itself. English was harder to access than this language I'd learned to survive. The hospital brought in a psychiatrist, Dr. Sarah Chen. She specialized in trauma. "Jake, you experienced prolonged captivity and isolation. What you're feeling is normal. The human mind adapts to survive. You did what you had to do. Now we need to help you readapt to this world." "I don't think I can," I told her. "I'm not the same person. That person died in the cave." "You survived. That's what matters. You're here. You're alive. We can work with that." Emma stayed with me the whole time. She'd taken leave from work, slept in a chair in my room. Was there every time I woke up panicking. But I could see the questions in her eyes, the confusion, the fear. She didn't understand what had happened to me, and I didn't know how to explain. Week 3 in the hospital, the police came. Detective Ryan Foster. Mid-40s, professional, skeptical. "Mr. Morrison, I'm glad you're recovering, but we need to understand what happened. You've been missing for 31 months. Where were you?" I told him the truth. All of it. The creature, the cave, the captivity, David Chen, the 3 years of isolation. He took notes. His expression never changed. Professional. Neutral. When I finished, he said, "Mr. Morrison, You've experienced severe trauma. Is it possible that you think I'm making this up? I think trauma can cause hallucinations, false memories. The mind tries to make sense of suffering by creating narratives. I'm not crazy. It happened. All of it. Can you show us where this happened? Where this cave is? I don't know exactly. The creature carried me out. I was barely conscious, somewhere near Mogollon Rim, but I don't have coordinates. You mentioned another victim, David Chen. We do have a missing persons case. David Chen, 43, disappeared in 2017. Are you saying he's dead? Yes. He died in the cave. The creature took his body. I don't know where. Mr. Morrison, without evidence, without a location, without anything to corroborate your story, I'm not saying I don't believe you, but you have to understand how this sounds. I understood. I sounded insane. A man found barely alive, claiming Bigfoot held him captive for 3 years. Of course, they thought I was delusional. The interview ended with nothing resolved. No evidence, no location, just my word, which apparently wasn't enough. Emma visited that evening, sat with me. Jake, tell me the truth. What really happened to you? I told you. I told the detective. That's what happened. A Sasquatch kidnapped you and kept you in a cave for 3 years. Yes. Jake, you don't believe me either. I believe something horrible happened to you. I believe you suffered. But not that. Anything but that, because that's impossible. She didn't answer, just held my hand. And I knew. My own sister thought I was crazy. I was released from the hospital in early July 2021. Emma took me to her apartment in Phoenix. I was stable enough physically. Mentally, that was another story. I couldn't function in normal society. The apartment was too enclosed. I'd sleep on the balcony, not in a bedroom. Crowds terrified me. Grocery stores made me panic. Too many people, too much noise. And I kept slipping into those vocalizations. Emma would ask me a question, and I'd respond with sounds instead of words. My brain was stuck between 2 languages. The therapy continued. 3 times a week. Dr. Chen was patient, persistent. Slowly, I started to improve. But the nightmares never stopped. Every night, back in the cave, David dying beside me, the creature watching, the darkness that never ended. In August, the story leaked to the press. Someone at the hospital, someone at the police station. I don't know. But suddenly, the media was everywhere. Man missing 3 years found alive, claims Bigfoot captivity. Arizona man's bizarre tale of Sasquatch imprisonment. Survivor or delusional? The Jake Morrison mystery. Reporters camped outside Emma's apartment, called constantly, begged for interviews. I refused all of them. I couldn't talk about it, couldn't relive it for entertainment. But Emma did one interview, defending me. My brother is not crazy. Something real happened to him, something traumatic. He deserves respect, not mockery. The public response was split. Some believed. Sasquatch enthusiasts rallied around my story, said it confirmed what they'd always known. Others called me a fraud, an attention seeker, mentally ill. I didn't care what they thought. I just wanted to be left alone. But I couldn't be left alone, because I knew the truth, and the truth was eating me alive. The creature was real. It had taken me, kept me, released me, and it was still out there, still in those forests, still alone, and no one believed me. September 2021. I made a decision. I needed proof. I needed evidence that would make people believe. Not for validation, but for closure, for my sanity. I told Emma, I'm going back to find the cave, to find evidence, to prove this was real. Jake, no, you almost died. You can't go back there. I have to. I need people to believe me. I need to believe myself. You're not going alone. Then come with me. She didn't want to. I could see the fear in her eyes. Fear that I'd lose it completely. Fear that we'd find nothing. Fear that maybe I really was delusional. But she came. Because she's my sister. Because she loved me. Because she needed to know the truth, too. We hired a guide. Someone experienced. Told him we were looking for a specific cave system near Mogollon Rim. Didn't tell him why. It took 3 days of searching. The landscape had changed. Wildfire damage from the year before. That's why the creature had evacuated me, I realized. The fire had burned through the area. Trees were blackened. Undergrowth was different. But on day 3, I found it. Recognized the rock formations, the canyon, the approach. There, I pointed. That's where the cave is. We hiked to it. The entrance was still partially blocked by the boulder. With the guide's help, we moved it enough to get inside. Emma had flashlights. We went in slowly. The cave was empty, but I recognized it immediately. The dimensions, the feel, the smell, decay and dampness and years of captivity. This is it, I said. This is where I was kept. Emma swept the flashlight around, found things. Plant fiber ropes, deteriorated but still recognizable. Crude containers. Scratches on the walls. My marks from the early days, trying to track time. "Oh my God," Emma whispered. "Jake, this is real. This is actually real." She took photos, videos, collected samples of the ropes, the containers, physical evidence, but no sign of the creature, no footprints, no hair, no scat, nothing that would prove what had kept me here. We spent 2 hours in that cave, Emma documenting everything, me standing there, reliving 3 years of hell. When we finally left, I felt both relief and emptiness. I'd proven the cave was real, but not what had kept me there. As we were hiking back to our camp, I heard it. A sound from the forest. Familiar, unmistakable. The vocalization I'd learned. The one that meant, hello, or I'm here. I stopped. Did you hear that? Hear what? That sound. It's here. It's watching us. Emma looked terrified. Jake, there's nothing. There, I pointed, maybe 100 yards away. In the trees, a shape, large, too tall for a bear, moving on 2 legs. Emma saw it, went completely still. What is that? That's what kept me. I made the vocalization back, the response sound. I'm here. No danger. The creature moved closer, stepped into a clearing. And for the first time, Emma saw it fully. Saw that I'd been telling the truth. She raised her phone with shaking hands, started recording. Jake, I'm getting this. I'm getting video. Oh my God, I'm getting video. I started walking toward it. Emma grabbed my arm. Jake, don't. What are you doing? I need to talk to it. I need to understand. Jake, it kidnapped you. It tortured you for 3 years. I know, but I need closure. Please. I approached slowly. The creature didn't flee, just watched, waiting. When I was maybe 30 feet away, I stopped, used the vocalizations. Why? Why did you take me? It responded. Complex sounds, gestures. I translated as best I could. You were alone. You took me to study, to understand humans, because you were curious and lonely. More sounds. You kept me alive because I was all you had, the only company, the only connection. More sounds. Sadder now. You let me go because fire was coming. You chose to save me even though it meant losing your subject. I was crying now. 3 years of anger and pain and confusion pouring out. You're still here, still alone, still trying to understand what you did wrong. The creature made a sound. Soft, mournful. The vocalization I'd learned meant yes. I was in hell because of you. I almost died. I'll never be the same. You destroyed my life. It just watched, listening, understanding enough. But you also kept me alive, fed me, released me when you could have kept me forever. I don't know if that makes it better, but it's something. I made the final vocalization, the one for goodbye or safe journey. The creature responded with the same sound, then turned and walked back into the forest. Emma lowered her phone, shaking. I got it, Jake, I got it all on video. Emma posted the video that night from our hotel room, uploaded it to YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, everywhere she could think of. It went viral within hours. By the next morning, it had 50 million views. By the end of the week, over 200 million. News outlets around the world were covering it. Scientists were analyzing the footage frame by frame, and the debate raged, real or fake. The video showed everything. The creature in the clearing, large, bipedal, moving in ways that experts said didn't match any known animal. My vocalizations with it, its responses, the exchange. Analysis came back. If this is fake, it's the most sophisticated fake ever created. The movement patterns, the musculature, the way it interacts with the environment, we can't find evidence of CGI or costume. But skeptics remained. Elaborate hoax. Morrison is seeking attention. The video is too convenient. I didn't care about the debate. I'd done what I needed to do. I had proof. Emma had witnessed it. The world could believe or not believe. I knew the truth. What I wasn't prepared for was everything that came after. October 2021. The media frenzy intensified. Every outlet wanted an interview. I finally agreed to one. 60 minutes, national audience, one chance to tell my full story. I sat across from the interviewer, told her everything, the kidnapping, the 3 years, David Chen's death, the communication, the release, the return, the video. She asked the hard questions. Are you absolutely certain this wasn't a trauma-induced delusion? That you didn't survive alone in the wilderness and create this narrative to cope? I'm certain. The cave is real. The evidence is real. The video is real. It happened. What do you want people to take from your story? That there are things in the wilderness we don't understand. That intelligence exists in forms we don't recognize. And that suffering can happen without evil intent. The creature didn't take me out of malice. It took me out of curiosity and loneliness. That doesn't excuse what it did, but it explains it. The interview aired to 20 million viewers. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of messages, most supportive, some cruel, all demanding more. November 2021. Wildlife authorities launched an investigation, sent teams into the Mogollon Rim area, looking for the creature, looking for evidence. They found footprints, massive, clearly not bear or human, hair samples snagged on branches. DNA analysis showed unknown primate, doesn't match any cataloged species. Scat with unidentified genetic markers. The evidence was mounting, but no one could find the creature itself. It had disappeared deeper into the wilderness. Scientists wanted to capture it, study it. This could be the most significant zoological discovery in human history. I fought against that publicly. It's not a discovery, it's a being, intelligent, conscious. You can't just capture it and put it in a lab. Mr. Morrison, your sympathy for this creature is understandable given your trauma bonding, but this isn't trauma bonding. This is recognizing personhood. What it did was wrong, but imprisonment and study would be wrong too. Two wrongs don't make a right. I became an unexpected advocate, speaking against capture, arguing for protected wilderness status, for leaving the creature alone. It was complicated. I hated what had been done to me, hated the 3 years stolen from my life. But I also understood the creature better than anyone. Understood its loneliness, its curiosity, its isolation. December 2021. I learned something that broke me. My parents had died. Car accident in March 2020, while I was in the cave. They died believing I was already dead, had mourned me, never knew I'd survived. Emma had kept this from me during my recovery, hadn't wanted to add trauma on top of trauma, but I needed to know. I went to their graves, stood there for hours, talking to stones. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't here. I'm sorry you never knew I survived. I'm sorry for everything. They died thinking I was gone. That pain would haunt me forever. 2022 and 2023 passed in a blur. I was living with Emma still. Couldn't hold a normal job. The PTSD made regular employment impossible. But I wrote. Started a blog about my experience, then a book. 3 years gone. My captivity and what it taught me about survival, forgiveness, and the unknown. It was therapeutic to write, to process, to put everything on paper, and people responded. The book became a bestseller, not because people wanted entertainment, but because they wanted understanding. I used the money to fund wilderness conservation, protected lands, Sasquatch research that was ethical, observation only, no capture, no interference. My personal life remained a disaster. I tried dating, couldn't maintain relationships, too much trauma, too much damage. Intimacy terrified me in ways I couldn't explain. Emma remained my closest connection. She'd seen it, witnessed it, believed me when no one else did. That bond was unbreakable. Are you okay? She'd ask me regularly. No, but I'm surviving. That's enough. Is it though? It has to be. The nightmares never stopped. Every night. The cave, the darkness, David's body, the creature's face. But I learned to live with them. Learned that some wounds never heal. You just learn to walk with the limp. Present day. 2024, I'm 31 years old, 6 years since the kidnapping, 3 years since the rescue. I still see Dr. Chen twice a week, still take medication for PTSD and anxiety, still struggle with enclosed spaces and crowds and normal human interaction. But I found something like purpose. I speak at conferences about unknown species, about ethical treatment of intelligent beings, about how suffering shapes us but doesn't have to define us. And last month, I did something I'd been planning for 2 years. I went back to the cave. Alone this time, against everyone's advice. I hiked the 3 days, found the location, sat at the entrance. And I spoke. Not knowing if the creature was there, not knowing if it could hear, but needing to say it anyway. I don't know if you're listening, don't know if you remember me, but I need to say this for myself, for closure. What you did was wrong. You kidnapped me, imprisoned me for 3 years, watched me suffer. That was evil, and I'll carry the scars forever. I lost my parents while I was in that cave. They died thinking I was dead. I'll never forgive you for that. Never. I paused, breathed, continued. But I also know you didn't understand what you were doing to me. You were lonely, curious, trying to understand something you'd never understood before. You kept me alive when you could have let me die. You released me when fire came, even though it meant losing your only companion. I don't know what that means. If it means you cared, if it means you had some kind of conscience, or if I'm projecting humanity onto something that isn't human. But I choose to believe you tried, in your way, with your limited understanding. You tried to keep me alive, and when you couldn't keep me safely anymore, you let me go. So this is what I came to say. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I need to. Because carrying hate for 6 years has poisoned me. Because I need to let it go to survive. I hope you're not alone anymore. I hope you found others, found connection, found whatever you were looking for when you took me. And I hope you understand, if you're capable of understanding, that what you did was wrong. That curiosity doesn't justify imprisonment. That loneliness doesn't excuse cruelty. I sat in silence for an hour. No response, no sounds, just wind through the trees. Then, as I was about to leave, I heard it. Faint, distant. The vocalization I'd learned meant goodbye or safe journey. The creature was there, had heard me, was responding. I made the vocalization back. Goodbye. Be well. And I left. For the last time. Final closure. I'm telling the story now, completely, publicly, finally, because I need people to understand what happened. Not the sensational parts, not the man kidnapped by Bigfoot headlines, but the truth, the complexity, the impossible moral questions. I was a victim. 3 years of my life were stolen. I was traumatized in ways I'll never fully heal from. That's undeniable. But I was also a witness to intelligence we don't understand, to loneliness so profound it drives beings to unconscionable acts, to the thin line between curiosity and cruelty. The creature that took me wasn't a monster. It was a being, capable of terrible things and also capable of mercy, just like humans. I don't know if there are more out there. The DNA evidence suggests there might be. Small populations, hidden, isolated, living parallel to us but never intersecting. I hope they're not alone. I hope they have each other. Because loneliness, true, absolute loneliness, can make any intelligent being do terrible things. My name is Jake Morrison. I'm 31 years old. 6 years ago, I was kidnapped by a Sasquatch in Arizona, kept in a cave for 3 years, found barely alive in May 2021. People ask if I hate it, the creature. I don't know. Some days, yes. Some days I dream about revenge, about finding it and making it suffer like I suffered. Other days, I feel something closer to pity, for a being so lonely it had to kidnap someone to have company, for something so intelligent yet so unable to understand the harm it was causing. Mostly, I just feel tired. Tired of carrying this. Tired of the nightmares. Tired of being the guy who was kidnapped by Bigfoot. But I survived. Against all odds, despite 3 years of hell, despite losing everything, I'm still here. I weigh 155 pounds now, still 25 pounds under my pre-captivity weight, but healthy enough. I can walk without pain, eat normal food, function in society. Barely, but I function. I have Emma, I have my work, I have purpose, I have survival, and I have forgiveness. For the creature, for myself, for the universe that put me in that cave. That forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, doesn't make it okay, doesn't heal all wounds, but it lets me move forward. One day at a time, one step at a time. To anyone who hears this story, know that survival is possible, recovery is possible, even from the impossible. I spent 3 years in darkness, but I'm in the light now, and I'm staying here. To the creature, wherever you are, thank you for releasing me. I'll never thank you for taking me, but I thank you for letting me go. And to David Chen, who died in that cave. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry your family never got closure. I carry your memory with me every day. To my parents, I'm sorry you died not knowing I survived. But I survived, and I'm trying to make you proud. To Emma, thank you for believing me, for standing by me, for being there when no one else was. You saved my life as much as the creature ended it. I'm Jake Morrison. I'm a survivor, not a victim. A survivor, and this is my truth. All of it, the horror and the understanding, the suffering and the forgiveness, the darkness and the light. 3 years gone, but still here, still fighting, still alive. That's enough. It has to be enough, and maybe someday it'll be more than enough. Maybe someday I'll be more than just the sum of my trauma. But for now, I'm here. I'm breathing, I'm telling my story. And that's survival. That's victory. That's everything. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. Or for not believing. That's okay too. just remember, there are things in the wilderness we don't understand. Beings that exist in spaces we've never explored. Intelligence in forms we don't recognize. Treat them with respect. Keep your distance. And remember that curiosity, theirs or ours, can lead to terrible things. Be careful out there. Be aware. And be grateful for your freedom, because I know what it's like to lose it. And I'll never take it for granted again. My name is Jake Morrison, and I survived what shouldn't be survivable. That's my story. That's my truth. That's everything.